but I'm not him, I don't mind it though. You don't like me how you think you do, I like it though. I know I'm fine, but the money makes me handsomer. Walk around smelling like a come up in the answer for her problems, but I'm not him, I don't mind it though. You don't like me how you think you do, I like it though. I know I'm fine.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I want to welcome everybody to another episode of the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N. podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a cool show today. There's been a question that I've been asked, and what I've learned about this question is that only a fool thinks they know the answer. Only a fool thinks they know the answer to what I'm about to say. The question is, what is love? Now, I do a lot of talking about love because I'm a very big believer in love. I do a lot of talking about relationships because I still believe that relationships are important, that they're a big deal, man. Like, don't believe the hype that the internet is telling you that, oh, people aren't getting married, people are not, they're not dating anymore. It's just simply not true. There's a sector of the population that is going through that, and it may feel at times like you go through that, or you put yourself in a situation where maybe you shied away from love because you've been hurt. And I'm a big believer in trying to clear that up. Like, no, it's just not true, man. It's too many examples of people that are in good, healthy relationships around us. They're just quiet. So when people ask that question, what is love? I once read a cool quote. I can't get it exactly, and I'm trying to look for it. It says, only a fool tries to define love. The wise man is the understanding that there is no definition. You know how they say love is in the eye of the beholder? There is no true definition of love. Obviously we could talk about it in terms of an emotion and a feeling to describe, a connection with someone. And we could just add a lot of adjectives to try to really bring it full circle. But the truth is, how many of us understand how deep and what love really is? It's a crazy thing because not many people really get it. I can't tell you how many people I come across that on a regular basis confuse lust with love. It happens all the time. People confuse lust with love. And I love referring to one of those. I've seen it like 100 times on Instagram, maybe 100 times on Facebook. It's a quote that I absolutely love. It says, lust feels a lot like love until it's time to make a sacrifice. I'm like, that's such a beautiful way to explain the difference between love and lust. Because lust will have you singing, dancing, oh man, with the rose-colored glasses on, completely talking to your friends about how amazing he or she is, how wonderful, and how this is it, and this is my soulmate, and 1111, and oh my God, and we have what's your sign, and what's my sign, and oh, it's connected, and oh my God, I was in the 4th grade too. Oh my God, your birthday's April 20th? Oh my God, mine is May 5th. Like if there's some kind of worldly connection, and the truth is, no, that's when you're looking at love through those glasses, man. And the reality of it is, it's still the lusting phase. Now, a lot of people get jaded and they're like, Mike, that's not lust, because they think lust has to do with sex and wanting the physical attraction from somebody. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes your lusting for them is your need to have them to fulfill you, to fulfill the emptiness in you. Sometimes you go chasing them, you go looking for them to really kind of bring you full circle. And that's not quite love. I always talk about how I feel, and I always try to give unique perspectives on things. I always try to say how love and in love have somewhere along the line, I think they got inverted and people started using them wrong. People will look at you in the face and say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And when people say that, you're like, if they were using it appropriately, that means, oh, we could last. We could fix this because the underlying feeling is love and that doesn't change. That's the current of our relationship. That doesn't change. In love means you can fall out of love. So it's okay to fall in and out of love. So when you meet someone and you tell them, I'm in love with you, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, you're essentially telling them that, yo, I'm in this for the long haul with you. I love you. This is the feeling that's going to last us through these ups and downs, through these rough patches, through these good times and bad. When I realize you're not perfect, that's what's going to hold me over. You know, when you're old and the looks are gone and people can barely walk and you're looking at each other, love is what holds that together. Not that euphoric feeling of being in love. How many times do I have to say that I've met people that have been together 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and they'll look at you, you ask them what's the secret, and they'll be like, I love them, you know, but I haven't always been in love with them. You know, there'll be 2 or 3 years there though I couldn't stand them. We weren't having sex, we weren't going out, we weren't doing anything. And it was rough for a while. But we pushed through and we made it. So I would love for people to really start examining those words and letting people know in love is a temporary emotion. In love is when you meet somebody who is perfect for you and you're so happy and you're like, I finally met my person. I'm so happy this person is perfect. Loving somebody is when you realize they're not perfect and you love them anyway. And you say, you know what, this person is not perfect. You take those rose colored glasses off and you realize they're not perfect. You know, they're flawed. They're human. They have a lot of issues. But you know what? These are issues. I'm okay with them. I could love him through those issues, or I could love her through those issues. We can get past this. We can grow from this. One of my favorite quotes. When you're in love and times are good, you gain happiness. When you love someone but times are hard, you gain wisdom. As long as you do it together, you face the adversity together. And it's a fine line between love and lust, right? And you could start in lust and cross over into love. I always give this example. When I was younger, I used to ask one of my favorite questions. It was an ego-driven question. Was, why do you love me? And women would look at me and they would say, Michael, I love the way you treat me. I love the way you talk to me. I love the way I feel when I'm around you. I love the way I love the way I love the way I. As I've evolved in this conversation, in these type of conversations, I now start to realize, oh, she was clearly telling me she was still in lust. She was still in the very early phases of how she felt about me. Because when you truly love someone, there's a transition that's made. You go from loving someone selfishly, how this person makes me feel, how I'm happy when I'm around them, the things they do for me, and you shift into a selfless position where now when somebody asks you, why do you love me? I love you because I love the way you smile when you're thinking of something new. I love the way I love the way you're allowed to end it with I love the way you love me. That's fine. But it's always the love starts to lead with you. It becomes selfless. It's no longer about me. It's no longer about how you make me feel. It's that transition from lust to love. It's the transition from selfish to selfless. It's the transition from perfection, seeing perfection in someone, to seeing the flaws and loving flaws in all. I love quoting things. These are things that are all over my book. Um, Again, one of my favorite quotes is "Love my darkness, my light is easy to love." Where does that come from? I can't speak for all men, obviously, but based on my conversations, based on some research, based on some things that I've done, I can say these words. For a man, vulnerability equals love. It equals love. Why is that important to know? We could talk to anyone. We could literally have conversation with anyone. And I know what conversations and what communication means to a woman. But to a man, it just doesn't mean the same thing. Like if I'm sitting at a bar, that's why if I'm sitting at a bar and I'm talking to a woman, I don't consider that cheating. The woman in my life may consider it cheating because I'm communicating with somebody else. I'm sharing emotions, thoughts. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Where for me, like if I cross the physical barrier or the intent to be physical, that to me is cheating. There's a big difference. Why? Because for us, communication isn't love. Vulnerability is love. This woman that I'm talking to is not getting the special parts of me, that darkness that I share with you. And when I say darkness, sometimes it has a negative connotation. I don't mean darkness as in like my trauma and my bullshit. I mean, like there's parts of me that, I love. There's this one, it's the Japanese. I hope I can find it, man. It's so freaking cool, man. It talks about a mask that people wear and the faces that they show the public. And I've always loved it. So I hope to find it because I want to share it because this is exactly, and I'm going to, oh, here it is. Yes. The Japanese say you have three faces. The face you show the world. The second face you show your close friends and your family. The third face you never show anyone. And it is the truest reflection of who you are. In this thing, it says you don't show anyone. And that might be true, but I will tell you this. That third face, the one that nobody gets to see, the woman that you love gets a glimpse and gets pieces of that and starts to see, and she's able to piece together that party. That's the only person. There's one. I know, guys cheat. They do all kinds of stuff. They got side pieces, but there's only one. And if you're not the one he's being vulnerable with, you're not the one. How a woman reacts when a man is vulnerable determines the role she will play in his life. If she rejects him during that vulnerability, right? He shares with her, he's open to her, he's vulnerable, and she looks at him and goes, and pardon my French here, yo, you better man up, yo, my pussy's drying up. I can't stand it. Ugh. You're acting like a bitch. That man will shut down. He will take her out of the future box and put her in the, hey, you're never going to be anything serious box. And then he shuts down and he puts up a persona to protect himself from never feeling that type of heartbreak, that type of hurt again. And that's where we get the manosphere, the Andrew Tates, and all those guys, which I don't knock. I'm actually a supporter to a certain extent of what they do. But that's how a man shows you he loves you. He's vulnerable with you. He gives that up to you. And the right woman takes that vulnerability and says, okay, I won't share this with anybody. I won't hold it against you. You know what? We're good. Give me more. I can handle this. And she loves you through that. And you're able to share. And you start to see the transition because now she doesn't see the mask. She doesn't see the guy who's perfect, the guy who's throwing money around, the guy who's flashy, the guy when he goes out, everybody wants to be around, everybody wants to talk to, the swagger, the finesse, the riz, like the kids say today. They don't get to see that. They get to see, she gets to see the real you. Now, for men, what I tell men is this. I saw this awesome clip. And it's James Baldwin talking to, I can't remember her name. She's a prominent black woman. Nikki Giovanni, poet, one of my favorites. And they're having this high level discussion about relationships. Because there's levels to these conversations. And I like to think that mine has evolved now. Like I don't try to have this conversation with my ego anymore. I try to make sure that, I take that out of it and I really try to give a different perspective, not some cliche that you're going to see every day. But they have this conversation, and when a man is being vulnerable and he's giving her his imperfections and he's taking the mask off and he's showing her who he really is, it's important to understand that the pain that you feel, the fights that you're fighting outside, don't bring those home. Just like a man says, I need a woman to be my peace. I fight a lot of battles at home. I mean, out in the streets and at work and all that stuff. I don't want to have to bring that home. I don't want to have another fight at home. You are 50% responsible for that. So when you come home with the understanding that she's not your punching bag emotionally. She's not the person that has to pay for the breakdown that you had at work. She's not the one that has to pay for the raise you didn't get, for the dismissive conversation you had from your boss at work, from the vacation that got denied. She's not that person. So you got to come home, and although I tell you to be vulnerable, I also to tell you to be wise in your vulnerability, because she's not your punching bag. So I wanted to clear that up, because I always just throw that out there about, for a man, vulnerability equals love, and it's like basically saying, oh yeah, a woman has to eat shit when he comes home, and no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. But when a man takes that mask off and he's vulnerable, basically what he's saying is, I'm not perfect. Do you love me now? And their partner has to look at them and say, yes or no, take it or leave it. In that moment, what they're saying is, I love you, I don't love you. I can love you selfishly, which is not love, so I could lust after you, but I cannot love you because that's too much for me. I don't see the value in taking whatever it is that you're trying to give me. So I always tell people, look, there's, how do you get there? There's this, the pain, the tears, the heartbreaks, everything you're going through shapes you, right? It literally shapes you. And as you go through these things, you get shaped. And then one day you meet somebody and you feel like, oh man, I fit their puzzle perfectly because of how I've been shaped. I don't have to change anything. I may have to compromise, but I don't have to change who I am at its core. I can be me. I could show her those dark parts of me, or him those dark parts of me, and they will love me. And that's when it crosses over into love. When a man loves a woman, right, what he needs to do is he needs to start understanding that his thoughts should not be left open to interpretation because of what communication means to her. So I always say that when a man starts to love a woman, to like really fall in love with a woman, he starts to, and there's degrees of this, because some men are so closed off that they may be giving you a little bit, but proportionately to what they normally usually give, it's a lot for them. And then there's other people that naturally are, can communicate, can talk, and can share their feelings. Like I'm one of those people. I could tell you what's on my mind, and I do, and I actively try to tell you what's on my mind, so that you're not left in limbo, thinking, "Yo, is he stressed?" And I used to be like this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I used to be the type of man that I'd be with you, and I'd be sitting there quiet or on my phone or just whatever, and they'd be looking like, "Is he mad? Mike, what's wrong? Are you okay? Like, did I say something? Did I do something? Do I look fat? Does he still want me?" They're asking all these questions, and I'm like, "Yo, where is this coming from? I'm fine. I'm good. Maybe I have resting bitch face. I get it, but I'm fine. I'm cool." And I had to learn as I evolved and I grew as a man. I said to myself, okay, look, my promise to the woman that's in my life, to the woman that I fall in love with, is I will never leave my thoughts open to interpretation. Because when you're quiet, I understand that your silence means that you're mentally checking out. It's a painful silence. It means that you haven't heard, Mike, you haven't heard what I've said to you. You're not listening. So therefore, I'm just going to stop talking because I don't feel heard. I don't feel loved. I don't feel connected to you. Now, that's important, because if I'm being quiet, that's kind of what she's thinking. She's like, oh my God, he must not feel connected to me. He must not love me. He must be mentally checking out. And because I love you, I'm because I've shifted from a selfish love to a selfless love, because I've shifted from lust to love, I need to let you in. I need to open my mouth and open my mind and say, hey, look, I'm going through some stuff right now. Like, I'm a little stressed, but babe, I'm good. You're so beautiful. I love you. Communicate and let her know. No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. There's nothing wrong. Like, I'm actually really cool. You don't mind if I just take a little time to be quiet and chill, right? We could talk in a few minutes, or if you want to talk, I'm fine to talk to you. I'm not, there's nothing major going on. I'm just wondering about WrestleMania, you know. I'm just thinking about my Jets coming up. That's all it is. It's very simple. We're very simple as men. I heard on the internet, it was a really cool question. They asked, would you rather have long-term lust or short-term love? And at first, people want to jump and answer and I'm like, that's such a complicated question. And because I'm the hopeful romantic, because I believe in love, because I'm such a proponent of love, give me the short-term love. And because I've experienced it, I experienced short-term love. And you know what? At a couple times in my life, and I would never surrender those moments. I always say, I loved love, right? And that feeling, that true feeling. I'm not talking about feeling in love. I'm talking about the people that I've connected with in my life um, that was true. That's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. How lucky are you that you got to experience that with someone? That at some point in your life you got to love so deeply that you got to really experience that. I'm actually looking something up because I wrote something about this, and I really. Oh, okay, so I got a question in my Dropping Dimes inbox, right? And it was such a cool question because let's see, no, that's not it. I'm sorry. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna find the question. It's just the hardest thing someone can do. No, I gotta find this. This is like it's just a great. The question essentially was asking about. Let me try this. Good man is good enough. Man, if I can, what are you saying? Months in the making. No, I got so many questions in this inbox. Actually, oh, okay, here it goes. It goes, dear Mister Dropping Dimes, you give great advice. How do you feel about your exes? Because I can't stand mine. These female dogs have been a curse on my life. I don't know if I'm. I don't know. I don't know if I'm wrong. Please give me a different perspective. I thought it was a great question because at the end of the day, look, man, when I've been hurt, I'm not nobody special that's gonna be like, oh no, I'm good and give you this intellectual great response to somebody. No, I'm gonna tell you, look, and I'm gonna read it to you directly. If I'm honest, initially, I'm like, fuck these hoes. And it's the truth. When I've been hurt, I've been like, fuck them all, bro. I can't stand them. I'm just a regular human. But what I do realize is that as some time passes and I separate myself and I kind of move away from the situation, I've learned to have more clarity and definitely take a different perspective on the experience. And I say to myself, after some thought and introspection, my thoughts clear up. It may not have worked out, but I loved. So that means that I felt. And if I felt, it meant that I lived. I learned, so it meant that I grew. Either way, they left me better than when they met me, and left me one step closer to what the universe wants for me. No regrets, just lessons learned. What do I mean by that? It's a really fancy way of saying, yo, you know what? In the micro, yeah, that shit hurts. I'm getting over it. It's heartbreak. It's bullshit. It sucks. But on the macro level, it's like, yo, you know what? If I look at the big picture, I learned from every heartbreak I've been in. I've learned from every disastrous relationship or every relationship that went left. And, maybe not initially, I may have taken a couple of steps back and, hurt and been going through stuff and been going through things. And my life kind of took a bad turn. But over time, I learned and I grew from those relationships. When I was married, I look back and I'm like, man, I know what true love was. That was true love. That was a beautiful thing, man. That was a beauty. That really gave me in the future for my faith and love. I was immature. We can go into that at some other time. I was in a long-term relationship with an amazing woman, and I grew up in that relationship. I grew up. I learned like, oh shit, man. I was in such an innocent relationship years prior, and now this is a mature woman that has real problems, real issues, and I'm catapulted into being a real man and stepping in and really understanding. And at the time, it was rough, it was tough. And then later on, I met a girl, and I learned courage to leave certain things behind, courage to get away and really put my mental health and myself as a priority for once in my life. And then in another relationship, I learned my potential. It was a way of a person that I met that I wasn't doing the things that I was capable of in my life. I wasn't being the man I was meant to be in my life. And I met this woman, and she didn't create that man. She untapped his potential. She kind of said, hey, yo, you're really good at this. You're really smart. You got this going. You could really, and it allowed me to be like, yo, you know what? Let me explore this. And bam, and I took off into it, which my writing, my podcasting, my working with people as far as creativity and things that came from that. It was birthed from that. So yeah, I was heartbroken. Yeah, that shit sucked. Yeah, it hurt. But when I look back, I'm like, shit, I gained, and these people each in the long run left me way better than they found me. And I always say the universe doesn't give you what you want. It doesn't give you what you pray for. It gives you a reflection of who you are. And the universe doesn't know late. It only knows right on time. And what it's saying is, hey, Mike, I need you to cry the last tear. I need you to feel that last bit of pain. I need you to learn that last lesson. I need you to go through that experience. And like coal and fire, or like, it's shifting. Like clay and fire, it's shifting. Or like coal, like steel. As you burn it, you could everything you go through kind of bang, bang, start shaping you. It starts shaping you. And one day you take a shape. And you may not recognize the shape that it is. But I guarantee you that the person that's for you, that the person that wants to be with you, that the person that's been watching you work, they recognize that shape that you've taken, and they say, oh my God, that person fits, even in their imperfection, in my puzzle, in my, like, there's this hole in my heart that's shaped like, and I've tried to fill it with other people. And I've tried to fill it, and I've done a great job of filling the rest of me with self-love. And there's this one little missing piece. And you know what? They fit perfectly. Even with their rough edges, even with their odd shape, they fit perfectly. And you know what? I've been praying for someone like this. I don't know about you. I don't pray for perfection in a partner. I pray for somebody who's perfectly imperfect for me. Somebody who fits that puzzle. You know what I mean? I've learned over the years. I remember like clear as day. When I was young, I used to actively look for what was wrong in a woman. Like I'd look at a beautiful woman and be like, oh yeah, but she's, look at her, she's, blah, blah, blah. And it's crazy how as I've gotten older, when I look at a woman, I actively search what's beautiful about her. I don't hold her imperfections against her. That's ridiculous. She's another human being. Like, you don't do that. I don't hold those things against her. I look at her and I say, you know what? In the hands of the right man, it's like a work of art. Not everybody appreciates the same type of art. Me personally, I love a woman that's a woman. Don't get me wrong. If you're working to improve your body, whether it's cosmetically or working out, that's beautiful. It's amazing. Whatever your choice is, that's amazing. But I'm a guy that doesn't mind. My favorite is, a lot of people always laugh at this one. One of my favorite parts of a female anatomy is the fupa. that little what they consider, oh, and it's so crazy because when I'm sleeping next to somebody, I slide my hand in there, that little crease. They were looking like, what the are you doing? Like that is like you're touching my insecurities, and I'm just like, you don't understand. Like this means woman to me. Stretch marks are okay with me. Little extra is fine with me. You know, the gray hair or you know the things that tell me, hey, look, these are some scars that you may have. These are things that I don't love you because you're perfect. I love you because I see your imperfections and they make you unique. They make you special. And not only do they make you special, but they bring me to a point where it's like I want to see your scars. I want to see what's hurt you. I want to see whatever, and I want to mend those scars, whether they're emotional, whether help you mend them, whether they're emotional, whether they're physical. I once you fall in love, that's the kind of take that you have. Well, we're at the 31-minute mark. Okay, I want to take a real quick pause. So, I've been saying this, and I'm just waiting for the delivery of the stuff to get here. I finally got a sponsor, man. I'm really happy about it. It's been a couple of weeks in the making. I inked everything, signed everything. I'm really happy to announce I'm going to be working with Celsius, the energy drink. I down those things like water, unfortunately. Not all the time. You know, probably shouldn't do that all the time. But I love the way they make me feel. They don't bring me up too high. They kind of, when there's no crashing, I kind of go. The flavors are great. That's just my opinion. And when they send me everything, I'll be able to give you a more clearer picture on those. And Manscaped, you know, when you're taking care of your hygiene, man, a lot in the past, you know, you had to use regular razors or regular clippers, and you catch yourself and you clip yourself, and you end up in a bad spot. You know, I don't wish that on anybody. But with Manscaped, you'll see that those days are over, man, and you can take care of yourself the way you need to. Maybe even add some inches when you cut the the foliage down, you know. But I'm gonna lead you into my favorite sponsor right now. My favorite sponsor is Queen Meech. For those of you who don't know, Queen Meech is my sister, Michelle Navarrete. You know, people from back home may know who she was, and anybody who watches it from back then. My sister Michelle Navarrete has a candle company, and when I come back from the break, I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in this life, some people are in a rush to reach their destination, while others prefer to enjoy the ride. Some drink to get drunk, and some savor the taste of fine wine or a good meal. If you're in the latter, sit back and delight in a unique journey with Queen Meats International. Her scents and unique infusion methods are designed to take the proverbial edge out of life. Queen Meats' number one goal is to guide you down a more sophisticated and gentle cannabis experience, perfect for meditation, yoga, or turning down from the stress of daily life. Backed by hours of research, our candles are made from a unique blend of imported oils and a wick that burns slower and cleaner to get the most out of your investment. If you're someone who enjoys the finer things in life, we would love to be your introduction to the high life. You could find her on Instagram at Queen Meats International. You could also email at the Queen Meats. And if you let her know about dropping dimes, that you heard about it on dropping dimes. After your first $100, I believe there's a discount in there for you with that discount code. And trust me, $100 will fly once you see the inventory and the way everything's set up and the things that she has all set up for you. It's fantastic. She's out in Las Vegas now, where she's literally shipping all over the country and all over the world. And I am a huge fan and proponent. I'm constantly lighting her candle. You know, I have my incense later, you know, in it, but I always light the candle a couple nights a week. When I want to distress, I just want to relax. I don't do the glass of wine, which a lot of people do, but I found that, when I light this up, I get mellow, I get chill, I relax, and then I'm going to go to bed like a baby. So if this sounds good to you, by all means, hop back on, man, and let me know what you think. All right, back to the show. So we're talking about love, man, and how I'm attempting to define something that's really undefinable. It's individual. It goes by people and who they are and what they how they define it and what they feel, how they feel loved, how they love. It's very complicated. I always say love is the sixth sense that makes all the other senses feel like nonsense. What is it? Oh, love is the sixth sense that has you feeling nonsense and numbs all the rest of the senses. You know what I mean? I thought that was a really cute, slick way of putting it out there. The one thing I've learned about love is I used to think, we talked earlier about in love, right? And I know everybody knows people that when they're in love, the whole world knows about it. The girls that are constantly posting brand new guys on their Instagram, brand new guys on their Facebook every couple of weeks, talking about, this is my soulmate, this is the one. They introduce everybody, and this is the guy, and this is the one. And you're like, okay, cool. The one thing I've learned is that love does not come in like a hurricane, where it sweeps you off your feet, and it kind of comes in like a quiet storm. If you've ever known about a hurricane comes in, sweeps you off your feet, and leaves. What happens when it's done? It comes flying in, flying out, and leaves destruction. And anything that comes into your life at a rapid pace, at a rapid speed, overwhelming you, is usually going to leave destruction behind, including your heart. When things come in slowly, and you take your time, and you're kind of like, all right, this person is different. Wow, they're unique. I realize they're not perfect. And one day you look up and you're like, yo, how'd I get here? Oh shit, he was. Let's be honest. A lot of times the guy that women fall married and the women they're with is not the guy that overwhelmed them and like really kind of just blew them away. There's been other guys that blew them away and were like they were infatuated with, and their lust was for them. And then the guy that they marry, it's more like, I can't put a finger on why I love him. It's the funniest thing, man, and I repeat myself a lot when it comes to this. Like, you ever talk to somebody who is in lust and infatuated with their man? Because my man and my boyfriend and my man and my boyfriend, and because he's amazing and my boyfriend and my boyfriend and my man. And that's how the conversation goes, right? And when you talk to a woman that truly loves her husband and they've invested the time and they've been together, and you talk to her about her husband, she's like, he's all right. He fucking gets on my nerves. That's how you talk, because there's no portraying perfection anymore. There's no projecting that happy life. The internet is number one for that. And trust me when I tell you, being in the industry that I'm in and talking about the subjects that I talk about, which are love, relationships, being together, I can't even tell you how many lies are told on the internet about people being happy and couples looking like the perfect family. You're like, oh wow, your family's, oh my God, it's almost like an envy. Like, wow, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have messed up in my life and I would have that. And then you realize, or the person contacts you or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's all bullshit. I don't want to say, look, let me not call it bullshit, because that's what you may want in your heart. That's maybe what you want. You're projecting that because it's truly what you want in your heart. You just don't have it, And it's crazy because people project on the internet the things that they don't have. If you're look at your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, look at your feed, okay? And what do they say? Somebody said in the song, they're like, I don't take pictures, I just see it again, right? Why? Because it's not a big deal to me. I'm not gonna stop, and because this is gonna happen again. So a lot of times we snap a picture of something that's very unique, hardly ever happens, or rarely happens, and we want to capture it, and we want to hear it. World, look what I got to do. And it's crazy because it could be anything from a Wagyu steak that you've had once, where you put that picture up, for the world to see, but like, yo, Mike eats good, man. That's Wagyu steak. That's expensive. Oh shit, Mike's on that boat. Oh shit. Mike goes on that boat maybe once when my cousin invites me on his yacht. You know what I mean? Like that's when I go on boats. So it's not like I'm there all the time. And that's just examples for me. And I'll give you an even deeper example. There was a time in my life where I was super insecure of what kind of father I was. Now, mind you, me and my daughter have always been tight, like this, like buddies. And I've always been a great father, and now I know that. Because I've always been there. I've never been absent. I've always been in her life, financially, emotionally, you name it. And I was always very insecure about it. So everything let's say back then, my Facebook feed would be, look at me and my daughter, me and my daughter, me and my daughter out, me and my daughter at the playground, me and my daughter, me and my daughter, me and my daughter. Was I trying to fool the people? No, I was trying to fool myself and trying to cover up that insecurity that I had. And I found that people do that with almost everything. And so when you look at these relationships, you'll be like, oh shit, man, don't get me wrong. There's exceptions to the rule. And I'm not talking about if every now and then you post your family and, hey, look, this is an event. This is what we did. No, I don't want to seem like a cold-hearted asshole that doesn't understand that. Or kind of put people in a position where they're like, oh, but I'm not, hit dog or holler, they say, right? So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. What I mean is that there are a lot of people, and they're in my inbox, and it's full of people. I almost think like, can I blur names? Nah, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. I'm under lock and key when somebody, shares some type of intimacy, that kind of emotion with me. But just to show you like how many people are like, oh yeah, that was bullshit. We were fighting that same day. Or no, she's cheating on me, he's cheating on me. Or yeah, we haven't slept in the same bed. We don't even live in the same house. Or oh, he hit me, or I hit him, or have anger management, or we're on drugs, alcohol. You name it across the board. You know what I mean? Those things are out there. And it's that impulse to really project and push what we don't have. So sometimes even love. Sometimes love is one of those things that we rarely get it. We don't have it all the time. It's a peace in our family, love in our family, feeling love. So we have to post it like, oh, look at us. Look at me and my husband. Look at me and my wife. Look at us. And the reality of it is, you're not doing well. You're not doing very well. It's not really there. And that goes back to the comment I made about love coming in like a hurricane, leaving destruction, and it coming in like a quiet storm. And the people that are happy, generally happy, the reason the internet is not booming with those conversations, the reason those aren't getting the million or going viral, is those people are quiet. Those people are quiet. The people that are truly happy are quiet about their relationship. They're quiet about the people that they love. They keep it low. They keep it chill. Like I'm 100% guilty of this. I've been in relationships where I wanted the world. Oh, yeah, look at me. Why? Because I rarely jump into relationships. I'm rarely in relationships. I always say I'm like a piece of wood in the water, just drifting along. And every now and then I hit an island. You know what I mean? Sometimes I stay on that island longer than others. I'm not claiming. I don't claim to be perfect. I think the biggest mistake people do in this field and what I do is they try to claim perfection and that they're a man, that they're perfect. No, I ain't shit. I haven't been shit in my life at different points in my life. So when I'm talking to you, I'm talking with perspective of like, hey, look, man, I get it. Trust me, man. I used to blast certain exes all over the place and look how good I'm doing. I never forget one in particular. I was in a relationship, and remember, I told you how I was very insecure about what kind of dad I was. And this relationship represented the first time I was going to have some stability, where I was going to be one of the stable parent, right? Because her mother is like perfection when it comes to being a mom, a woman in general. Like I have nothing bad. She's just an amazing person, right? And nothing bad to say about her. So I was always the one that kind of like, was always dating, never had somebody in my life that was real, like a potential for a future. I was always, just kind of fucking floating around, hanging out, working, just living the bachelor life, right? And then my love was my daughter. So I would be like, everything I would, instead of dumping it into a woman, I'd dump it into my daughter. Let's go here, let's do this, let's do that. It was my little wife taking her everywhere. And I remember I get into this relationship, right? And just like the song says, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, you could plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. I had this beautiful painting in my head of what I wanted my life to look like and what I thought it was going to look like. And it finally looked like a responsible adult that when my daughter came to Florida, she was going to have a dope spot to live in and a place to hang with a family type atmosphere. And this was going to be everything I've always wanted. Everything that I lost, that I shit on, I was going to get it back. And this was going to be my opportunity. So I used to post like, life is great and life is amazing. And even when the relationship started to go like this. And I found that as the relationship would sink, the more I would post. And the more I would try to convince strangers that don't give a shit about me how happy I was. I would project that. And when I look back, I realized I was like, yeah, that relationship came in like a hurricane. I was in love. I found my soulmate. This is the one. Oh my God, it's amazing. And I've learned. But here's the number one lesson that I've learned is that I don't know shit about relationships. And anybody online, any book claiming that they do know shit about a love and relationships is leading with their ego, and they're lying to you. I'm welcoming you as an audience, and I want people to listen to this because it's coming from a next level perspective. It's coming from a perspective about relationships and love that has evolved. If I'm talking to you about relationships and the prize and who's what and what you bring to the table, I'm not ready. I'm literally verbalizing that I'm not ready. You may look at it as, oh, it's an intellectual conversation about, what man and women. Listen to me. These questions that people want to verbalize and put on the internet and have these great viral moments about are not spoken when you're falling from somebody and you're starting to fall for them and you're starting to love them. They're not verbalized. They're an energy that's sent off your body that's speaking a language nobody around you could understand. Only you and the person. It's between you and them. There is no conversation about, hey, so you tell me, I want to know. Now, once a man is in love, I always make a joke and I say, until I love you, I don't give a shit if you could read. I just don't. Once I'm in love with you and I start to love you and I see that, yo, you know what? I want a future with this woman. That's when her resume starts to matter. Before that, it just doesn't matter. There's 1,000,001 things on my list that need to be checked off before I look at your education, any of that. These are feelings that I have that have to be evolving in me, bubbling, so that one day I'm like, I see the value in this woman. Okay. Oh, okay. Now, so we're going to have a future. So what are your thoughts on children? What are your thoughts on marriage? What religion or political, what do you do for a living? How do you feel about your career? If you could stop and money wasn't an issue, where would you be in life? Without using the words money or happiness, please, tell me, define success for me. What does that mean to you? What does happiness mean to you? These kind of conversations. And the more you sit back and the more you listen and the more you pay attention, we don't know shit. I'll never forget, man. I was riding a real high, right? Where people were sending me a lot of questions. Bro, I thought I just put out my book. It was doing really well. I'm getting a podcast calling me to speak to them and over here to do this. And Mike, you want to make an appearance over here? I'm like, oh shit. Oh, I got to get on the radio and this TV show, this local TV show. I was like, shit, yo, I'm killing this. Man, so then people would ask me a question and I would give them this answer. And I realized, yo, Mike, I'm leading with my ego on these questions. And then I had a heartbreak. And like I tell people, hey, listen, no regrets, just lessons learned. What was the main lesson that I learned from getting my heart broken? The main lesson was humility. because God, the universe, whoever your higher power is, says, okay, Mike, you think you have the answer to every question? You wrote this book. You think people are coming to you? They're getting starting to get a little recognition. You think you have all the answers? All right. Here's this fucking curveball. Somebody's leaving you that still loves you. Somebody's moving on because in this and that and da da da. What's the answer to this? And I'm sitting there like, fuck. I have no idea. I'm lost. I have no clue. I don't have the answer to this question. That to me was being humbled. And ever since that day, those days, I've moved forward and I take my ego completely out of how I'm answering questions about love. And I'm never going to tell you that I have the answer, that I know, because I don't. And anybody who claims to know is trying to gain money from you, trying to gain fame from you, trying to get a viral moment from you, because we don't know. That's love. Love is not knowing. Love is not having the answers and pushing forward anyway. Love is understanding that, yo, you know what? I choose you. I choose you. I wrote something today that I want to share. I really liked it. I don't know. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but, you know, I really got a kick out of what I wrote, and I would like to share. And just to be clear, the first sentence was the inspiration of what I wrote, and it was literally from a poem an unknown artist wrote years ago, back in the day. So I want to make that clear. I don't want to ever take some credit for anybody else's work. It says, if I walked into a room that contained all the soulmates I've ever had, you would be there standing alone. I don't love you despite your flaws. I love you because they make you unique. Each one perfectly placed, so your piece could fit my puzzle. My love is not about me and how you make me feel. My love is about how many ways I can make you happy. It's about how many ways I can tell you I love you with my actions. My love is about choosing you when times are good and choosing you again when times get tough. It's about recognizing that what I have with you is not one in a million. It's one in a lifetime. That is my open definition of love. It's just kind of like it touches on a lot of different things, and I hope everybody has a chance to experience. I hope everybody gets a chance to truly fall deeply, just uncontrollably in love with someone, and understands that we're all love worthy. Despite how you may feel about yourself, obviously it starts with you. It starts with self-love. Nobody can love you into existence. You have to start with loving yourself. Don't let these hard times and these experiences change you. They say if something changes you, the devil wins. Keep being good if you're a good person. Keep loving with all your heart. Keep sharing the best parts of you. Be wise and set boundaries with who you share them with, but don't stop sharing them, because you're not the problem. They say when somebody leaves you, when you're a good person, nobody ever leaves you. They lose you. And so I tell you, listen, keep being you. Let your kindness be their weakness. Remember, the universe doesn't give you what you pray for and what you ask for. It gives you a reflection of who you are. Be the love you want. Be the peace that you want from someone. Be the kindness you want from somebody. Be the gentle soul that you want from someone. Be the protector. Be the provider. Be that to who you want. And give that off. Give that energy off, and that's what you will receive. That's what you will get back. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I didn't get a large audience tonight, but I definitely love the people that go back and listen on Spotify, which is has become my main platform. My podcast is doing great. I love it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the love and support. This has been another episode of the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N. podcast. They say the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. And I want to thank you so much for helping me walk in.
I know I'm fine, but the money makes me handsomer. Walk around smelling like a come up in the answer for her problems, but I'm not him, I don't mind it though. You don't like me how you think you do, I like it though. I know I'm fine, but the money makes me handsomer. Walk around